Welcome back to my kitchen. My name is Deborah Johnson and I'm the community health nutritionist working with the Northwest Bronx Food Justice Project. So today I'm going to be talking about one of my favorite topics, plant-based eating. As a plant-based eater myself, I have heard so many different myths that surround this diet. As a nutritionist as well, I've heard a lot of misconception from people about plant-based diets. And so I'm here today to debunk some of those myths, to tell you the facts as it pertains to those myths. Okay, so let's talk about the myth that surround a plant-based diet. Now, first myth that I'd like to talk about is the protein myth, the you're not getting enough protein. So I hear that a lot. A lot of people say, well, if I happen to want to do a plant-based diet, I'm not going to get enough protein. Now, it's the furthest thing from the truth because there are quite a few plants that actually supply protein. Broccoli is one of them. Spinach. You think about beans, all beans are jam-packed with protein, right? And nuts and seeds as well have a lot of protein. Things like tofu has protein. So it's a myth that you're not going to be able to get your protein if you do not eat, meat products. So I want you to consider that. But also, let's talk about some of the largest animals that we know. Elephants, bison, even cows. They are all plant eaters. They're herbivores. And so those animals are able to get all their essential protein and nutrients from eating a plant-based diet. So don't be fooled, guys. You can find protein in plant foods, all right? So that's a myth number one. I hope that helps to clarify it for you. Let's get into the myth number two that exists around eating plant-based foods. So one of the most popular ones that I've heard is that it's so expensive. Now, yes, it can be if you are eating a lot of the processed plant-based foods. But if you're eating whole food plant-based, where you're enjoying a head of broccoli or some cauliflower or some mushrooms, which is a great substitute for meats. That's what I happen to use a lot in my meals. I'm a plant-based eater. I think I said that earlier. But yeah, you can actually, enjoy good plant-based eating for less than the cost of someone who's actually a meat eater. And plant-based eating is actually significantly less, I would say. Obviously, if you're eating out a lot, that's going to cost you. But if you're making the food at home, that's also going to reduce the cost around eating plant-based. So when it comes to the expense factor, it's not true. You can actually enjoy a whole food plant-based diet with real food for much less than if you were eating a predominantly meat diet, for example. Now, the other myth that I hear a lot is that I'm not going to be getting all my essential nutrients and vitamins and minerals. And it's, of course, there's a good reason to be concerned about that, because we've been told that, just like we've been told that you can only find protein in animal products, it's a lot of times the same thing that people are hearing. They're confused. And so that's why we're having this conversation. And so when it comes to getting your essential vitamins, minerals, nutrients that the body requires to function optimally, you can get all of those iron, calcium from plants. So the main two that I just mentioned, those minerals that I mentioned, are two of the main minerals that people often say, well, if I stop consuming dairy, for example, I'm not going to have calcium. My bones are going to be weak. However, calcium can be found in so many different foods. Kale, for example, you can find calcium in kale. There's so many foods. Some of the foods I mentioned before also have calcium. Broccoli and spinach, they also have calcium. And so the idea is to get the education, which you're doing now, so that you can learn that, foods that are plant-based foods still have a lot of the same minerals and vitamins and nutrients, right? So the other one is iron. Iron can be found, if you remember Popeye, right? Popeye had those muscles. I don't really have muscles. But Popeye had muscles, and he talked a lot about get me spinach, right? So spinach has a lot of iron, and so if you're eating a plant-based diet, there's a lot of these dark leafy greens that are jam-packed with iron, so you're not going to be iron deficient. However, I do want to say that when it comes to two of the vitamins, vitamin B12 and vitamin D, vitamin B12 is something that everyone requires more of, even people who are eating meat. And so it's generally one of the vitamins that people tend to have to supplement anyway. But people who are on plant-based diet, because B12 is found in most meat products, will have to supplement. I myself supplement B12. When it comes to vitamin D, I'm outside every day. At least I try to get outside every day to get my vitamin D. However, with the help of your doctor, if you happen to be deficient, vitamin D is also quite essential, because a lot of folks who are on plant-based diet are just not getting the vitamin D, which is vitamin D has been added to dairy products like milk. All right. And then the final one is that it is bland. A lot of people complain that if I eat plant-based, it's boring. I'm going to be stuck eating salads all day. And that's the furthest thing from the truth. Okay. When you go plant-based, if you happen to want to go plant-based or you're just eating more plants, the food options, the variety is large. You have so many different types of beans. I mean, the list of bean options are so long. The list of vegetables, but quite a few times when I visit the farmer's market, there's always some type of veggie or fruit that I have not seen. And so there's a variety of options that we can find here locally. I'm in the Bronx, and that we can find locally that we can try, right? So get a variety of foods. And also, one of the main things I want to say about this is use a lot of herbs and spices, the same ones you use to season your meat. Use the same ones to season your veggies, right? So for example, in my case, I'm from the Caribbean. I love curry. And so what I do, I use curry in a lot of my bean stews. So if I'm making, let's say, garbanzo beans, I like to make a curry chickpeas, which is also known as garbanzo beans. I love to make that dish. And so I'm incorporating the same herbs and spices that I generally enjoy with when I used to have curry chicken. I'm able to enjoy that in a dish like the garbanzo beans or chickpeas with curry. All right, so it's not boring. It's only boring if you don't try. You have to try. You have to give it a go. And I'm pretty sure that you're going to enjoy plant-based eating. All right, so now let's get into the next section where I'm going to be showing you how to make a simple pizza recipe, plant-based, and it's delicious. All right, so not boring. To see how I went about making this pizza, please go to our part 2 video for the recipe and instructions. Thank you for watching, and again, this is Deborah Johnson from the Northwest Bronx Food Justice Project. Here's a list of some of the high protein foods, the low to medium protein foods that you can find. It's a great list, and I would love for you to download this. You can find it at rssny.org/NW Bronx Food Justice. Thank you for watching.